everyone, welcome. I'm Katie and this is a Fountain Pen Awakening. I hope that wherever you are in the world you're doing super well. I'm great. Today is my day off and outside it's a bit of a greyish day in sunny Queensland. It's not cold, but it's kind of, one of those days that you want to stay indoors and relax and not do much. So I thought, oh, you know what I can do? I can jump on and do my currently inked for March, because as I am filming, it is the 16th of March, and I thought, may as well get to it. Now, I haven't been writing all that much with my pen, so most of them are still inked up with with inks that I did show. So these are just some other pens that I've inked up with some new inks, or some inks that I have not been using for the past months or so. Now, another thing that I wanted to do is, when I got my last batch of inks, I got these pale kind of inks. So I got the Terra Red, which is an Ink Institute ink, which is new to me. It's a new ink brand. And also the Miyagima Sea-Eel Rice Beige, which is a Colortraveler. These ones, when I initially inked them up, I had trouble writing with them. So usually when I put inks in my Sailor Pro Gear Slim, I don't have any trouble with them. But for some reason, this sort of was really dry and I was unable to write with it well. Kind of didn't use it, took it out straight away. And again, I had the Rice Beige here in my Moonman, in the fine nib. So it's a very sort of fine writer, and I was struggling with that too. I mean, once it dries, you can see it, but when I was actually writing with it, in my diary or in my journal, in my Hobonichi, I was struggling. So what I decided to do is ink them up in my Lamys to see if, like, using a different pen and a broader nib, or if it would give me a different writing experience, and it actually did. So what I've done is I've done a writing sample on my Tomoe River paper, the 52 GSM, and now I'm doing this on the Rhodia paper. So I'm just going to sort of just do a swatching, a colour swatching with you, and then just a writing sample with the pen inked up, and then I'm just going to compare how they both look on the different papers. Yeah, definitely had a bit more success with these lighter colors in my Lamys, which I'm super excited about, because I really kind of enjoyed these colors. This particular one does remind me of First Wheel Press Lady Rose. So when I kind of saw it and I thought, oh, and then it wasn't working, it wasn't writing, I was a bit like Devo, but yeah. So this brand here is new to me. It's called Colortraveler, and I sourced most of my ink samples from the Desk Bandit. Now, the Desk Bandit has a huge range of inks, like Korean inks, Chinese inks. It does have Lamy and Sailor and all the other ones as well. And the great thing about them is that you can get samples of all of those inks, where I found some other retailers don't. They have the inks, but they don't have the ability to get samples. So yeah, it's just really nice to just try different inks from different brands just to see. And sometimes they do send me, this is a Desk Bandit I'm talking about, they do send me kind of little baby samples to try out, and I think Colortraveler was one of those. They sent me little baby samples to try out. So I kind of decided to see what else they had on offer, and I saw these colors and I thought they looked really nice. I really kind of enjoyed the tones and reminded me of Lady Rose. But again, also with Lady Rose, I kind of struggled to write with it. So I'm finding that so far in my journey, I'm struggling with really lighter color inks, the pale inks, and especially inks that are a bit wishy-washy. When I say wishy-washy, I mean they're very watery instead of being, what's the word I'm looking for, lubricated. So a lubricate has got that kind of more of an oily feel to it, and the writing experience is smoother, whereas when you have ink that's got more water in it, it doesn't really have that smooth writing experience, and it does sort of like tend to feather and ghost and do all that sort of stuff, or not have a light crisp line. So that's kind of what I find with some inks. It just depends obviously also on the paper that you are using. So yeah, it's just interesting. Ink explorations are interesting to me, and discovering what I do like and what I don't like. So having said this, I've got this ink in my Lamy All-Star with a fine nib, and obviously being Lamy is quite thicker than a Chinese or, you know, a Japanese fine nib. So I feel that this is actually writing so much better than initially it would write when I had it in my Moonman, my Mahjong. I'm really happy about that because it's such a pretty ink, which I really enjoy. So my next one, again, I had the same problem. It was really weird to me that, you know, in my Cellar Pro gear it was writing dry. So I decided, how about I put it in my Lamy Vista with a 1.1 nib on it and see if that would write better. And it has. This again is such a pretty color too. It's like a terracotta pink. I'm really enjoying that, and it's not kind of drying up. Being a wider nib, it works really good. Again, this is a new ink brand to me. It's called Ink Institute and Terra Red, but I find it to be more of a pinky red, right? And it's got in brackets here, which I find funny, bacon press. And when you actually look at it, it does look a little bit like the color of bacon. Which I know it might gross some of you out, but I just thought that was interesting. So I also find that Rhodia paper is a little bit drier. So, you know, this might write a little bit drier. That writes a little bit more drier. But I like the fact that they do have shading to them, because that's what I enjoy. I like when my inks have shading properties. So this one here is the 1.1. And I think that's, you know, that works well. So it kind of dries lighter and a little bit pinkier, bacon pink, so to speak. Now, what my next one is, this is my Sailor Shikiori that I got a bottle of because I saw this, I loved it. I love this color of purple. It is a dusky purple, so I thought, oh yeah. But it's funny because since I've actually bought the bottle, I haven't been using this ink because I've been testing other dusky purples and pinks. So I thought I'd ink it up because I haven't had it inked up. And I've popped it in my Moonman. So this is Sailors, and this is the Shikioris. That's the Hara. I really, really like this color. It's really pretty. And again, it does write a little bit dry in this fine pen, but when I put it in other pens, especially like in a size 6 nib fine, it writes nice. Okay, so that's a Shikiori Hara. Now, I kind of find it does shade, which I really like, but it kind of, you can see that more when it kind of dries as well. Yeah, at the moment, I don't know what's going on with this pen, but it's drying out on me, which is super weird. All right, and this is my Moonman S5, and this has got a fine nib on it. This is a size, I think it's a size 4 nib, so it is quite fine as far as nibs, right? But I like this, it's got a bit of bounce to it when you write with it, so you do get some line variation. See, this nib's really cool. Really impressed with this nib. So my next one is one that I'm super excited about because I finally found the perfect match to this pen. So this ink is the Jacques Herbin Vert de Gris, or Vert de Gris, I should say. Sorry for butchering that. And I think it's just a gorgeous colour. Sort of similar to Robert Oster's Sydney Darling Harbour, but different. It doesn't have a heap of shading, but you know how sometimes Herbin inks are a little bit dry? This isn't. This writes really well. I mean, everything writes well in this Schuylkill. With this wonderful Moonman nib, which is a size 6F. And, you know, this is one of my favourite pens. I keep saying it. It's one of my favourite writers. And any ink I put in here writes super well. So I'm really pleased with that one. And now I'm umming and ahhing if I should kind of like get myself a bottle of that too. That's the problem then, though. You know, once, as I was saying the other day, once you lock in these inks, then you tend to use these inks all the time, right? In the sense that once you find the bonded pair, you then want to use that ink with that pen, which I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing or anything. I'm just saying that then you don't want, what am I trying to say? Like, so you don't want to like necessarily then go and try more inks because you think that you found the perfect thing. But then me, I get bored and then I want to go and explore more inks and buy more. So it's a bit of a catch-22. That's what I'm trying to say here. All right, so my next ink is the Diamine ink that I've got a bottle of too. Now this one here I bought ages ago, but I sort of tend to not ink up for some reason because I've always got other inks that I'm using. Yeah, this just gets overlooked, and I'm kind of I'm not really someone who writes a lot with blue, but this is a nice blue. It's like a Prussian blue, and it's got sort of nice shading, and I've been using this ink in my Benu Brio, and this one here has got a bit of a juicy nib. So this is Diamine and this is Indigo. So I kind of struggle to find an ink that doesn't write too wet in this pen, and this actually does a good job. It's not too wet, and it's got really great shading too, and it's not too blobby when I write with this pen, because unfortunately this nib is a bit blobby. And by blobby, yeah, I mean juicy, and doesn't work with a lot of inks. It sort of needs more drier ink for the writing experience to be enjoyable, for me at least. And this is my Briolette. This is called Blue Ice, and this has got the medium nib on it. And then last but not least is, I think I showed this in my fave writers. So this one here is my Peridot green. I've tried the Peridot green several times in just like samples, and then I discovered that I really love the way it writes. Like, it writes super well, and this is an example of what I would call a lubricated ink, and it just writes so well in every single pen that you put it in. And then when I finally inked up my Horizont Twilight, which is a Nahvalur pen, it just wrote so well. Just like, I love the combination. I mean, this pen writes really well with all inks, but it is a big nib and it needs kind of a lubricated ink, I think, for it to write. I mean, I put my Sydney Darling Harbour in here and I found that it wrote a little bit dry, which is weird because usually I find Robert Oster's inks really watery. And it kind of gave it a sort of, I want to say, a brighter colour. Like, it wrote lighter rather than darker. And it didn't sort of give it as much shading. Or it could just be the sample. So that might be what it is too. So this is a Lamy Crystal series ink. And this one is called Peridot Green. And this is my Horizont Twilight. This has got like a fine nib on it. I just really like this green. It shades really well too. Yeah, so as I said, I really enjoy this green, and that's why I kind of bought a bottle of it. And I'm also kind of umming and ahhing about getting myself, what's it called? A Amazonite? Is it a Amazonite? Which is kind of the turquoise blue teal colour. Yeah, that's a really pretty colour. And writes super well too. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you this kind of like just perfect. Now, I did obviously prepare this earlier on, and as you can see here, you've got that red sheen in there, and you've got that red sheen in the Diamine Indigo as well. That's your Herbin. As you can see, there's not a lot of shading in that, but definitely we've got a little bit of shading in the Shikiori. See how this looks a little bit more pink, bacon pink? And then that is the Colortraveler Miyagima Sea-Eel Rice Beige. I mean, how long is that for a name? So that's on our Tomoe River paper. And then I've got, so as you can see, that sheen doesn't really come out well on the Rhodia paper. Same here. Oh, sorry, no, that's the Diamine Indigo there. I mean, you can see that there is, you know, some shading in there, but the sheen doesn't sort of come out. Oh, sorry, I keep bumping the camera. And again, you can see that there's not that complexity of shading going on. That's got sort of like a black sheen in there, I feel. And also, I feel that this is dark. You can see this Shikiori is much darker than how it is portrayed on the Tomoe River paper, right? That shades really well. It still shades super well. And the Diamine, let me have a look at the Diamine Indigo. Yeah, this is definitely lighter on that one. Yeah, so those are my currently inked at the moment. Really enjoying those. And now I'm just thinking that I should actually get me some new inks. Just because I haven't bought any new inks since January, and I don't know if you guys watched my last video, but I am on a no buy policy at the moment, just for the simple fact that there's certain pens that I really want. I just want to save up to buy those instead of just like getting distracted and buying pens just for the sake of buying them, or just because they're kind of on sale and so on and so forth. You know what I mean? I want to be really careful. So anyway, all that to say that I haven't bought these inks since last time, so this was kind of my last ink haul. So that's the Terra Red from the Ink Institute, and that's the Jacques Herbin Vert Gris. These are the Colortravelers. Oh, that's the one that's got the sheen in it, and this is the Colortraveler Miyagima Sea-Eel Rice Beige. And then what else have I got there? The Diamine, here it is. So see how it sort of dries to this nice blue. I rather like sort of that blue-grey kind of colour. And then what else have I got in the mix? I've got the Shikiori. That's interesting. Oh, here it is with my Sailor inks. So that's the Sailor Shikiori. So this is the Wearable ink swatches. This is the Wearable paper. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. Looking forward to your comments. Tell me which one's your favorite. Tell me if this is not like a perfect match, these two. Because I think it is. All right, until my next one. Ciao, Valley.